So, here's the real question. How do dentists like you, who aren't willing to let insurance dictate how you will run your practice, who want to create incredibly profitable practices without sacrificing your time or sanity, how do you create the strategies to ensure your practice not only survives, but thrives in the 21st century? That's the blaring question, and Dr. Steve Schalintz is here to provide the answers. Welcome to Dental Practice Freedom Radio.
Hey, what's up everybody? This is Dr. Steve Schalintz. I want to welcome you back to another episode of Dental Practice Freedom Radio. And you guys have noticed a trend, and sometimes I buck the trend, and sometimes I'm in my car recording these, and sometimes I'm not. And this is, obviously one of the car ones, so you're going to hear a lot of in the background and things like that. But one of the things that I like to do while I'm driving is listen to audiobooks. I mean, I love it. And most of the time I'm listening to the same books over and over and over again, whether it's Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles, or Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, or books by Bob Proctor or Earl Nightingale. I'm listening to a lot of books on mindset and goal setting and goal achieving and getting in the right vibration to attract what it is you want. And I know when I work with clients in that arena, it seems a little woo-woo when we first start, but it's so vital. And today I'm listening to a audiobook of Relentless by Grover. And somebody had recommended this book probably about 7-8 months ago. And finally got around to it. I have an Audible subscription. There's probably about 300 books, and I've listened to about 100 of them. So there's like 200 that literally I have too many choices. So today was Relentless. I said, I'm going to listen to it. I got a few hours in the car. Let's go pop this on and listen to it. And he mentioned something that I think is so critical. He, if you don't know anything about Tim Grover, he trained Michael Jordan. He trained some of the top athletes in the world. And he was talking about this idea of training the body first versus the mind. And he said, most people when they're trying to improve something, they're going to start with the physical conditions, right? So they're going to work on their exercises. They're going to work on all the physical things. He said, but that's completely backwards. You have to focus on your mind first. You have to get in the right mindset. You have to understand your mental capabilities, your mind. It's a different podcast episode. I could talk about the difference between your brain and your mind because they're used synonymously by a lot of people, and that's actually not true. Your brain is not your mind. But for the course of this podcast, let's just say you're getting your mindset right. But most people are focused on the exercising and doing that and doing this and not changing the fundamental framework of the paradigm that they exist in. And so they end up getting the same result. So think about how many people have went on a diet, they haven't changed their mindset, they haven't changed their self-image, they haven't changed their paradigm or their habitual way of operating, and pretty soon they go right back to where they were before. And I thought about that in the context of dental practices. And it's so paramount that as an office, you change your mindset first as well. And the reason's really simple. Being a coach myself, I see this, and this isn't a plug for my coaching services, but it's one of the reasons that I approach coaching the way that I do, that I focus so heavily on mindset for a lot of the doctors that I work with. Because when you work with a coach or a consultant, a coach is somebody that's going to kind of take you along a path. A consultant is there to fix your problems, and I don't like to call myself a consultant. I'm a coach. I don't want to solve two problems and can create 3 or 4 in the wake of those 2 problems that I solved. Consultants can sometimes actually do that. They come in, they fix a problem, they do exactly what they were paid for, but they create other problems in the practice. And then they come in, they fix those, and it's like it never ends, right? They just fix another thing, and another thing pops up. They fix another thing. So I've talked a lot about mentorship on past podcasts, but that's really important to me, that you have to find somebody that really is truly helping you get where you want to go. But let's put aside all that and say that you bring in a coach or a consultant. And a practice, the doctor, the practice, typically is going to operate just like that person that tried to change physical activity first before they change their mindset. So what happens is they'll come in, they say, hey, your production's not where it needs to be. Or maybe this is what the doctor's telling the coach or consultant. I want to change my hygiene recall. I want to learn how to better maximize my insurance. I want to do this. I want to do that. And they start changing what would be similar or analogous to their exercises, right? Their physical conditioning. But they never really change the mindset and the framework of the team and the office. So the office is still actually functioning from a very similar mindset or a very similar image. And almost to a T, you will see this. If you try to change existing systems in a practice, but you don't change the underlying paradigm or habit pattern belief system that practice has, you're not changing the mindset. You will almost inevitably go back to what you were doing before, and in fact, it's probably worse, because what can happen, and I see this happen a lot in practices, they actually grow. Let's say that they start changing things differently, and they grow. But it's a short-term fix. So maybe their production goes up $10,000 or $15,000 or $20,000. They've changed some habits. They quote-unquote changed their exercises. They got a better result. And they're like, this is great. Let's put in a staff bonus. Let's put in a team bonus. Let's hire another team member. We're busy. But they never change the underlying belief system of the practice. They never change the mindset. And all of a sudden, these problems start to creep up, and they creep up with alarming regularity. And now they're actually in worse shape because they've either brought on another team member that's now they're overstaffed, or they bring in a bonus system that now they can't even support the bonus system, so they're losing money, but they're paying their team more. Or maybe they have more patient headaches. Maybe they have this. Maybe they have that. These are all a direct result of trying to change habit patterns and physical reality first without changing the underlying mindset or belief system of the practice itself. So as you're starting to think about this, I want you to think about what Grover was talking about. If you haven't heard that book, you should listen to it or read it. He's talking about this idea of cleaners and closers, and cleaners are like the legacy, like these are the legacy people. These are the Michael Jordans of the world. And when he was talking about changing the exercise routine without changing the mindset first, and how doomed that is to failure, I could not help but think about how many practices there are that are out there that are always trying to change the external reality. They're always trying to change the retention system, or the way they answer the phones, or the way they do this, or the way they do that. And they might get some short-term results, but until you change the underlying belief system of that practice, until you change the mindset for each and every team member, right? Each and every team member. It's not just the doctor. It's each and every team member needs to be in this new frame of mind. What are we trying to accomplish? How are we going to accomplish it? And work on that belief system first. Most of the results that you get are not going to be long-lasting. Now, there are some outliers. I'm not saying that. It's no different than some people actually do physical exercises and they fundamentally change what they're doing. But if you really go deeper, almost every person that's done that is an unconscious, they call it an unconscious competent. They somehow changed the belief system they had of themselves while they were exercising. And that led to sustained results. So if you as a practice are starting to change things that you're doing in the practice externally, you're either relying on chance to become an unconscious competent, or if you truly understand how important mindset is to this whole thing, you'll start to approach it from mindset first. Really sit down with your team, get the appropriate training if you need to. How are we going to change the mindset and the belief system of this practice, and how we function as a unit, and what we're truly doing, and how are we going to accomplish this first, and then take the action patterns necessary, not trying to change the action patterns with no idea of what the proper mindset is for business growth. So hopefully you got value out of this one. Appreciate you so much for listening. And, in the car, I know the audio quality isn't the best, but to me it's more important for me to be able to bring you value as I'm thinking about some of these concepts and how they can apply to your practice and how you can use them to increase the production and the value and the growth of your practice. And as always, I would love if you could leave a rating or a review. There's going to be a link on the description of this podcast. If you are interested in learning more about what I do and how I can help you, I encourage you to reach out. There's no commitment. We just sit on a phone call. I figure out how I can best help you get where you want to go. And if I can't, I can always get you to somebody that is best suited for you. I know a lot of people in the dental industry that are very, very qualified and very talented and gifted. And it's my responsibility to help you get where you need to go, especially since you're listening to this podcast. And I just truly appreciate all the kind words, encouragement, and continual support as I'm trying to grow this. So a rating or review would be phenomenal. If I can help you in any way, I'd love for you to go to that link, check out what it is I do and how I can help you, and schedule a call with me. So hopefully you guys have a great day. Thank you again for listening, and I'll see you at the next episode.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode on Dental Practice Freedom Radio with Dr. Steve Schlitz. We'll see you on the next episode.